Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is November the 14th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, well, I'm hanging in there. Happy Friday. I will confess, technically I'm recording this on a Saturday. I missed midnight. So it goes. It's been a busy day. Let's just go ahead and just get into how my day went. More or less feels like Thursday part 2 for me. I couldn't sleep well. Obviously, like everything from yesterday was just really still on my mind. So, kind of tossed and turned in bed for like an hour, then I finally went to sleep. I think I got about like 4 hours. So I went to bed charged up but tired, like just because I knew I was going to have to like go talk to my supervisor. So that's what I did first thing. And they already knew the situation. So they already like had a little powwow, I guess, with the other, topsider. And I kind of could just instantly tell. And I knew this was going to happen. I was not surprised. But, my supervisor is kind of on paper, at least as he's talking to me, taking my side. But it's all corpo speak. It's all like this like padded cell talk of just like, oh yeah, we hear you out. I really like respect your opinion on this, man. I understand how you feel. You're right on this. And it's like, it's not a matter of how I feel. We're not talking about my opinion. Like what I mentioned, tap the fucking sign, read it, man. Like it was just whatever. I literally felt myself like kind of going through it of just like, cause my supervisor has a good, charming personality, at least, of like being like really endearing to you and like, trying to make you laugh, whatever. And like, I feel myself kind of buying the bit at first. And then like towards the end of it, I'm like sitting in my chair like I'm L or something from Death Note. And I'm just like ready to come out of my skin. And I just get up and I just start walking away. I'm like, it's fine. It's whatever. Like, you know the story, you know what's going on. Like I essentially, I tried to make it as clear as I could that I just did not want to interact with that supervisor anymore. And I knew that was an impossible thing to make that 100%, but I just needed that limited as much as possible. You have go-betweens, you have leads, you have other people you can use, you have you yourself and our lead. Just use those if you can. I get that I'm going to have to work alongside them on certain projects, whatever. Okay. And no sooner said, maybe like 20 minutes into my shift, he does come down, the topsider does come down and, says good morning. I mumble a good morning to him. Like, cause I'm like, bro, no, you just came at me the other day. We just got into it the other day and you're going to do that. Like, get out of my face with this shit. So, at the same time though, you're helping me with the problem. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I know last week there was like a big turnaround and they were able to like get all the cardboard, like more or less zeroed out. We more or less are going to be implementing this strategy for the remainder of peak, and we get another dumpster, and it's like an outdoor dumpster that you have to load from the inside of the warehouse. It's a little weird, but like you're essentially like throwing into it. I'm not doing it, but another coworker is, who is like usually helping me or covering my breaks in the top part of the day. So I was like, okay, so we're getting this done. We're chewing into it. And I'm thinking, I cannot believe that you have been like management has been pressing on me so hard to do this stuff. And we're coming up with new rules. We're gaslighting me and all this fucking dumb shit just to zero this shit out easily in one day yet again. Like there was no need for this. Like at the end of the day, the problem was always going to sort itself out. I knew that, but it's the people that made it difficult. They're the people who made it the fucking problem. So I was so frustrated, but I will say, I did get mine. I did say, you could say the Lord above the universe karma provided for me. Because at one point, I'm taking up an empty buggy to, be picked up, the area where he goes to get picked up. And the supervisor is on their rider walkie. And they've like double loaded the skid because they want to get as much as they can. Okay, all right, Mr. Efficient, congratulations, cool. They take one that's not taped well, or maybe not even taped. I think it was just barely taped poorly. Let's say that. And as they go to pull out, the whole thing just spills out. Just fucking spills out. Motherfuckers looking like the Pepe meme when they like the lunch tray is like flipped up and everything. It's like, oh no. I'm wheeling up my empty buggy. And I know it took everything in me to not like hit him with a smirk or anything like that. But I see this in my periphery. Do I help? Of fucking course not. Fuck that. No, I don't help. But there was like this old man who's like, oh, you need help? And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. And I'm like, yeah, he's good. He'll walk that off. He's got it. I'm just thinking that to myself. And then I go about my day. So it's life's little victories. I'm glad I got to experience that. It made it a little bit more worth showing up today for sure. Not to mention, I literally had an incentive. I was going to show up and do the shitty shift. But my head was just not in it. I like felt like I was dissociating or some shit throughout the day. A couple people would try to come up to me and talk, and it was just really hard because I didn't want to. And I think there's a certain level of expression or whatever that people expect when they talk to me or come up to me. And like on a day like today, I could not give it. Even like there was one guy who's literally just a complete time thief. Like literally is just coming up to you to waste your time so he could like not work. And to a certain extent, I'm all for that. But when you're literally wasting like a human being's time, you're an energy thief. You're an energy vampire. Go away. And I just like, I scolded him. I was just like, you can clearly see I'm busy. I'm not in the mood to chit chat. And he turned right around. I was like, good. Like the voice is working today. That being said, I want to give a shout out to the two people who really have been coming through and helping out on the Crusher since peak. I don't know if it's the trauma bonding or whatever, but like I find myself, in those couple of moments in the day, really being able to like be normal and be myself around those people. And that was kind of weirdly refreshing. I guess it's just kind of like friends in foxholes kind of thing. So I appreciated just having that like a couple of moments. Like at one point with the person who was helping out on the first, he was like, hey, do you need to take your break, right? Like, or do you not? Because like you've been kind of hanging out a little bit extra. I'm like, yeah, I'm bleeding time. I don't care. Like I'm over it today, and we're talking about absolute Batman. It's fine with me. But yeah, no, you're right. I'm gonna take my break like now. And then when my secondary came in, he was a bit concerned. He was like, hey, you okay? Everything good? And I'm like, no, I'm totally fine. It's sick. Everything, we're good. We came up with a strategy on how we were going to approach closing the Crusher for the day. From here on out, I think it's slick. I think it's sly. Essentially, we're going to give them what they want. Give them what they want. Give them what they want. They all can get no. And we're just gonna keep filling it. We're just gonna keep running it. And if it breaks, it breaks. Who gives a shit? You're giving me extra time to sit on my fucking ass and say I told you so. Like, great. But yeah, we got to talk about Street Fighter 6 and just talking about, video games and stuff. Also, at one point, he's always bringing in his speaker. He's always playing like random tunes. Like I said, I've called him like the jukebox. Whenever like people come up and be like, "What kind of music is this guy on? What is he like?" I'm like, he just likes everything, And I'm doing my thing. He's in the other Crusher doing the composite trash, and I hear Fleet Foxes playing, and I stop what I'm doing and I run over and I say, "Hey, is that Fleet Foxes?" And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, that's so cool. And that threw me off because this kid, he can't be older than like 22 years old. Like this is, we talking a wee pup, even though, it's a bit of a taller character. But I was just so thrown off. I'm like, the youth are still listening to Fleet Foxes. Let's fucking go. And I don't know if that's 100% true, but it was just refreshing and nice to like hear a song that I was playing back in my like Forever 21 days. Like Montezuma came on and I started singing along karaoke. I was like, what a day. So, that was nice. Overall, we made the most of the day, the best we could. Also, another coworker gave me a bag of chapati, and they like teasing me because I cannot pronounce it. I'm like, I can't pronounce anything. But it was very yummy. It was very good. So yeah, I mean, overall, today sucked, at least from the work angle. I think sleep was also an issue. I literally was like kind of low-key fussy baby towards the end of the day. I tried to I had to go get some gas, and I figured I was kind of craving Sour Patch Kids. I was wanting them, and I picked up a bag, and I get sent back home, crack it open, and of course they're stale. And I raged out. I like curb stomped the bag. I threw it. I was so angry. I was mauling. And I just tell myself, like, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta go to sleep. And mind you, I haven't gone to the gym. I just skipped that. I couldn't do it. Like, so I proceed to lay down. I get about an hour's worth of sleep, maybe a little bit more. We get up, and I'm like, is this a rest day? What are we doing? Are we going to the gym? What's up? And I say, we're going to the gym, baby. Let's go. So I proceed to hit the gym. Later, we're talking late Friday night, hours. Not too many people, so that's good. I was able to get on a Smith machine. I did free weights. That being said, I just didn't have much time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already recording this very late. So I was like, let's just do 30 minutes of cardio. We're do our core work, and that's going to be it. We're not going to do as much filler stuff today, just for the sake of time. And but overall, it was a good workout. Felt good, felt solid. It's nice to just really try to be back on more or less my max weights, with the exception of the heavyweights. I'm thinking about maybe doing some slight increasing there, maybe going up on some 5 pounds or so. We'll see. I don't know. I really do just love lifting heavy. It just feels good. I know I could lift lighter, but I tend to only want to do that for like days for strictly maintenance, strictly like I'm very sore, I need to recover, let's not go hard. Like I just like challenging myself as much as possible. It's just, I don't know, I like it. But anyway, that's been the day. I feel like we got all the strokes in there. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's how I'm feeling. Today really was just a wrench, and at least though it's the weekend now. It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. I fucking hope. Even though it's hard to have fun in these fucking trying times. Everything's so goddamn expensive. Just thinking about going out costs like $15. Like what the fuck. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I'm just like too tired to find what we need or not. I don't know if it just really is like, I kind of got all the news I wanted to hit. But this is gonna be a bit of a lighter episode on the news end, on the news tip, bit of an off-beater, if you will. There have been more emails released, but we're not really talking about that. But I will say, if you know, a very salacious email was released. I think it was from Epstein's brother, but in conversation, let's say Bill Clinton and Trump are mentioned in a very salacious way. Just the two of them, just the two of us, and I don't want to get too sordid. I know this is gonna get put on TikTok. I don't want to say anything too crazy, even though I got to talk about some real news. And that's another thing too. Technically, these are just emails. Especially these are just like email correspondence. Like, you know what I mean? There's not facts here. Technically, I gotta state that, I guess, for the record, right? But yeah, things that would make Nancy Reagan real proud. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at? Anyway, old Trump. Old got Trump. Okay. We gotta talk about the man, the myth, the president, Mr. 47. From Reuters. I always miss it up. Is it Reuters? Is it Reuters? It's not Reuters. I know it's not Reuters. It's Reuters. It's Reuters, right? Yeah, I'm just playing with y'all. Anyway. Trump cuts tariffs on beef, coffee, and other foods as inflation concerns mount. President Donald Trump on Friday signed an executive order to exempt a wide range of food imports, including beef, tomatoes, coffee, and bananas, from sweeping tariffs imposed earlier this year on nearly every country, the White House said. The order is part of a major push by Trump and his top officials to address Americans' growing concerns about persistently high grocery prices. The new exemptions, which take effect retroactively at midnight on Thursday, mark a sharp reversal for Trump, who has long insisted that his import duties are not fueling inflation. They come after a string of victories for Democrats in state and local elections in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City, where affordability was a key topic. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty big about face from the Trump administration. I think they're really just reading the wind here and saying, yeah, everyone is hating what you're doing here. You promised a better economy. You promised specifically better like prices in the grocery store. And it's the exact opposite. Things going up literally north of 20% at the very least for most Americans, most people. So like you got to give them something. And I think that they're finally realizing like, okay, like we're coming off the shutdown. That's another thing that we were technically getting blamed for. We're going to try to shift the narrative there as much as we can since, by all technicalities, realities, the Democrats did come and capitulate. I did also hear, though, that there's like random little things that were put into the bill that like, especially people in the House were like really pissy about. Let's see if I can try to remember this off the top of my head. But the Senate put in a stipulation or an ability to sue the government for being like surveilled like illegally. And essentially this goes back to 2023 with Jack Smith and the Biden administration. There's an allegation, that's not a word, accusation that like, oh, Jack Smith tapped our phones and illegally, listened in on our conversations, we want to sue. Like, essentially, for like, I think up to like $500,000 or something like that, or maybe even $1 million, don't quote me on this number, but per line that was like potentially tapped. But they essentially count that in saying, hey, we now have the legal ability to do that. And House representatives are like, what are you doing? Like, we don't like this at all. And they said, okay, anyway, we're going now. We're pulling a y'all and we're taking recess now. So you have to approve that bill. Otherwise, the shutdown's going to continue. And they're like, what the fuck? Okay, fine. We're going to do it. But, when you guys get back, we're going to find a way to like suspend this part because this is stupid. This is dumb as fuck. Mainly because it makes everyone look bad. Like they can point to the Republicans who are like, who wanted this to happen. It's like, why would you approve this? Like, why do you need a situation where you get to like line your pockets with more money from the government? It's like, well, we deserve it for our ship being tapped illegally. And it's like, no, man, like, let's actually peel that back. There was literally I forget what it starts with a T. I want to say it's toll or something like that. But it's like a log. And essentially it shows who called you. And that was used to figure out like which people called each other during like January 6th or whatever. That's what Jack Smith was like looking at. You're allowed to do that. Both administrations have done shit like this before. So it's on both sides. So to sit there and say like, oh, our shit was illegally tapped, this is so fucked up. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, you guys are politicians. I don't care if your shit's bugged. Fuck you guys. Anyway, back to the tariffs at hand. This is definitely a big about face. I'm happy to see it. I hope that I feel it in the grocery store. I got to buy coffee soon, so hopefully that affects that. I'm trying to see that shit not as expensive. Goddamn. But yeah, I mean, I think Trump and this administration, I think Republicans are really seeing the egg on their face and wanting to do something about it. I guess kind of just staying in the, the Trump verse and just Republicans in general, MAGA sphere, MAGA land, whatever. I'm kind of pulling this straight up from the ether. I'm really not like referencing anything. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is kind of a bit in the doldrums with Trump. I guess she's on the out. She's making some pivots, kind of just saying like, yeah, this fucking Epstein shit is weird. Like, it's weird to like not want to get this shit out here and want to really like address everything, right? Shit to that effect. And it looks like Trump is like Pontius Pilate to the beat now. He's washing his hands of her. He don't fuck with her. She's on her own. Yeah, come primaries, he's going for the opposition. He's giving the Trump bump to them. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Bit of a paradigm shift. And I think people are overthinking that, by the way. I'm mentioning it just for the sake of mentioning it. It's kind of filler talk to me. But it is interesting. I don't think she's going to make some full moderate turn. Like, I think we're getting almost like wrestle-pilled with this kind of shit and letting these motherfuckers do a little theater, a little too much. At the end of the day, this is still a conservative, person. This is still Marjorie Taylor fucking Greene. She's still her. And I don't think enough has really changed. So, I need that for the record. Also, you could say the same thing about like Aloan Berber. She's also been making a little bit of waves, not for doing anything, but she was part of the committee that was like saying, hey, yeah, we're on the committee to release these files. And there was a bit of a push from other conservatives and Trump saying, hey, you should take your name off that signature now that, the government's unshut down. Like, this is a chance to not, so we want to slow walk this, because essentially the Trump administration doesn't want this pushed, doesn't want this talked about. Just table it. And Boyd was like, no, dude. And I think it's because they all realize whether or not they want to, kiss the ring or not, that's a suicide pill to take. Like, you're going to get reamed by your constituents if you sit there and say, hey, I actually don't want to support, releasing information that, is going to shed light on some fucking pedophiles and sex rings and shit. Like, no, people want you to combat that shit. Like, most of these motherfuckers campaigned on doing it. You know what I mean? Goddamn. Let's see. Do I really want to, talk about this main article too much? No, I think we're good. It's been discussed. Let's move on. Yeah, it's been discussed and I'm disgusted. But anyway, let's move on. I'm gonna take a little water break. I'm yapping up a storm. Okay, I know this is fucked up, but this headline is kind of fire. ABC News. Dog shoots owner in back after jumping on shotgun left on bed. Police. I don't know, bro. This low-key felt like a Courage the Dog kind of vibe, but obviously not. He would never do that. But just like, how does this happen? And then I recall, I think maybe this was like 2 years ago or so. We covered a very similar incident. Like, sadly, these things can happen. But I mean, hey, at least this is a silver lining that, like, we're talking an injury, not a casualty. And look at this. Look at the start. Talk about a rough day. They know what they're doing. A Pennsylvania man is now hospitalized after his dog allegedly fired. It's like he's a suspect. Allegedly fired a shotgun at him, injuring him in the back, according to Shillington Police Department. I should live in Shillington. I don't know. I feel like that would be kind of a good place for me to live. I wonder if I'd make, some money. Maybe my Patreon blows up when I go to Shillington. Anyway, at approximately 11:13 p.m. on Tuesday, officials received reports of a shooting and that a 53-year-old man had suffered a gunshot wound to his back, police said in a press release obtained by ABC News. While police were on their way to the scene, officials were informed that a dog had jumped onto the bed and set the gun off, police said. Once at the scene, officials found the man on the floor and conscious. The victim told police that before the incident, he was cleaning his firearm, which was identified as a shotgun, and had placed it on his bed, officials said. He then proceeded to sit down on the bed, at which time one of his dogs jumped onto the bed, causing the weapon to fire a round into the man's lower back, officials said. At the time of the shooting, the victim and his son were the only individuals at the residence, along with 2 other dogs. The man's son was allegedly not in the same room when the gun was fired by the dog. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm glad that this dude is seemingly going to be okay. Hopefully nothing, too lasting or devastating from this injury, but man, that would suck shit. And it's a reminder at the very least to be very careful when you're handling a firearm. Be very, very, very careful when you're putting it away as well. I think there's just so much about it that you need to be so mindful of. And there are variables that multiply this given, having pets, having children, in general, more people in your home or whatever. You gotta be very mindful. Always be careful, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. I'm just glad, like I said, we're not talking about someone dying from this kind of situation. That always sucks. That's always sad. But yeah, also poor dog. I'm sure he was really scared. He just wanted to be next to his master, and then oopsie, I'm sure he just hit the claw on the gun. Bang! Kaplow! And now you turn his back into kibbles and bits, dude. Oh, ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. All right, anyway, we have one more story that I wanted to cover before I let you go. This one's a bittersweet one, you know. And normally I'm all smiles when we're talking about a union, approving or closing down a strike. You know what I mean? Normally I'm ready to get out the streamers and say big old W's and clap it up. This one, we'll get into it though. Last break time, yeah. Well, let me tell you a fun story from work. Earlier, I use a shovel sometimes, most times, to like mash down the trash. And in one of a really busy moment during the day, I grabbed the shovel and I didn't have my gloves on, and then shoving it into the compactor to mash the cardboard, I mashed a splinter into my hand, and I was like, "Ow, that sucks." But the splinter was one of those big chunky ones, so I was like, "Okay, I can pull it out." Pulled it out. Kept going on with my day. Flash forward to today, I'm looking at my hand while it's like sitting outside, and I'm like, that kind of looks like wood in my hand. And you further examine, I press X, and I see, oh yeah, it is. And I see that the skin hasn't like healed over it, so I'm just kind of like picking. I know this is TMI. I'm sorry, I'm able to, I think at this point, extract the remainder. And I was like, man, it's been that kind of week. I just didn't even notice. I'm really lucky I wasn't feeling it or anything. I just noticed it, and I was like, yeah, that's a bit icky. It's a bit gross. Anyway, I love that. I love that for me. And actually, it's weird. I love that shovel. I feel very weirdly attached to that tool because it's just so random. It's just so odd just to have a shovel, and they're like, yeah, man, use this to mash the trash. Like, you don't have anything better? Nope. And I've used it for years. Just the old thing. Anyway, let me get into this. Let's talk Boeing. From Reuters. Striking Boeing workers approve labor deal, ending a 101-day long walkout. Striking workers at Boeing's defense St. Louis area facilities voted to approve the company's latest contract offer on Thursday, union's officials said, ending a 101-day strike that has hampered production of fighter jets and other programs. The roughly 3,200 members of the International Association of Mechanists, I think it's mechanists, right? Mechanists and Aerospace Workers, or IAM, District 837, voted 68% in favor of approving the 5-year contract. They will start returning to work as early as Sunday. IAM District 837 members stood strong and united for over 3 months, union leaders said in a statement. We're proud of what our members have fought for together and are ready to get back to building the world's most advanced military aircraft. We're pleased with the results and look forward to bringing our full team back together on November 17th to support our customers, a Boeing spokesperson said in an email. The workers assemble Boeing's F-15 and FA-18 fighter jets, the T-7 trainer aircraft, munitions, and wing sections for the 777X commercial jet. The strike, which began on August 4th, has disrupted F-15 deliveries to the U.S. Air Force and slowed production across several key programs. So this was a story we covered in August a bit. I didn't really hear much literally until today. So I was like, okay, I'm eager, I'm happy, I'm hopefully going to hear something that's really good. But sadly, District 837 members had pushed Boeing for a higher ratification bonus and improved retirement plan contributions. Closer to terms in Boeing's deal reached last year with Seattle area IAM members after a 53-day strike. Boeing, however, throughout the strike refused to increase the value of its offer, which includes a 24% general wage increase over 5 years. On Monday, Boeing unilaterally revised its offer, reducing the overall bonus. It increased the upfront cash incentive to $6,000, up from $3,000 in the previous proposal, but cut another $4,000 in bonuses that would have been paid later during the contract's term. The rest of the offer remained largely unchanged from the other versions that have been rejected by union members. The company simply outlasted its wage earners. District 837 member Brandon Thiel told Reuters. They're why did I say Reuters? It's Reuters. I'm sorry. They're basically bullying us with the fact that they have more disposable income than most of us do. And I mean, this was a very just unfortunate thing. He said he voted to reject the offer, but I get why 68%, go along with it. You've been going at this for months, and, the holidays are coming up, man. Like, how long are you going to hold this out? And especially when each time you come to the table, you're sitting down with them cool, but they're not really playing ball. They're playing 3-card Monte with you. They're just like, we're going to shuffle this up. We're going to, you like this? Do you like this? It's the same thing. It's the same. You're fucking us in every one of these deals. Like, we're not actually getting anywhere close to what we want with any of these deals. And there's no progress. That's generally what you want when you see these things, is you might start at one end of the conversation, but you've got to get them closer to where you want and where you're happy with, and you can say, hey, we got a victory here. But Boeing was just able to play the waiting game with them and just more or less say, hey, we'll sit down and waste your fucking time. And at the end of the day, you'll take whatever deal you're gonna get. How about that? And it's seemingly what happened here, unfortunately. So that's where the bittersweet comes, because it's like, hey, it's good that people are going to be able to get back to working, and do that. But it sucks that it's, at the end of the day, you didn't get, the wins that you wanted out of this. And that sucks, especially in the long run. You're stuck with this shit for 5 fucking years. So that's unfortunate in that regard. But I get it. We do what we got to do. That's life. That's life. I at least say, hey, there's at least, people fighting for you, and that beats nothing. Just because you don't get it, just because you don't see a win out of a union or a big W or whatever, I feel like you still got to say, hey, this is still worth it. It's still merited, warranted, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that's the episode. That's all I have for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. But regardless, I just appreciate you, let me hang out with you. It's always nice. And, thanks for listening to my shitty days sometimes, That's pretty cool of you. You're rad for that. Thank you. But yeah, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.